influenced the organizational structure of the state. One should also have in mind that the Serbian tribe did not have enough members in order to densely colonize this new territory. Until the decline of the Serb medieval state, Župas formed the backbone of the state administrative structure. Župans, who governed them in the early Middle Ages, probably did not have close ties with central authorities. Therefore, several Serb dukedoms were probably formed soon after the settlement in the first few decades. Župan families strengthened their hold in them, forming dynasties which governed these lands. Already the Frankish annalist Einhard, when relating about the events of 822 and the failure of the Ljudevit Posavski's uprising against the Franks, wrote that from Sisak, Ljudevit fled to the Serbs, people who held a large part of Dalmatia. When comparing Einhard's account with that of Constantine Porphyrogenitus, who wrote approximately 150 years later, we could note that there is a great deal of concordance between them. Both of them wrote that the inhabitants of the Dalmatian hinterlands were members of the Serbian tribe. Župas and Župa towns formed the basis of the state organization. We know names of some Župas from the early Middle Ages, mostly from Dalmatian hinterlands. There were 3 Župas in Pagania: Rastoka, Mokro and Dalen. Constantine Porphyrogenitus did not write about other Župas, but he mentioned inhabited towns in each of these dukedoms. The location of many of these towns is known. In the mid-12th century, the priest of Duklja listed Župas in Travunia, Zahumlje and Duklja. This allows for an approximate reconstruction of the territorial administrative division of the state. At first, Župans, as representatives of some king groups, governed in the name of the supreme ruler. When the central authority was strong, they could not diverge from it, but they could slowly move away in times of the decline of that authority. According to the annals of the priests of Duklja, there existed a clearly determined governing structure. There were 4 bans under the supreme ruler, and then Župans and Satniks under them, chosen from the noblemen from the area. Under each Župan, Latin comes, there was a Satnik who also had court and tax authority. Each ban or duke had 7 Satniks with court authority and the right to collect taxes. Half of the income belonged to the duke and half to the supreme ruler. 2/3 of the taxes collected, Župans handed over to the king and kept 1/3 for themselves. Župans were not responsible to dukes, but directly to the king himself. It seems that the early Serb state structure had a clear division between military and civilian authority. Dukes were in fact commanders of larger areas in charge of their defense, while Župans were representatives of the central authority in court and financial matters. This ideally conceived model, related by the priest of Duklja, did not necessarily look that way already in the early Middle Ages, but it had to develop from the principles similar to the mid-12th century circumstances. When around 926, the Bulgarian ruler Simon deposed the Serb ruler and brought Časlav to the throne, he demanded that all Župans be present in order to acknowledge the new ruler. The remnant of this custom was preserved later at the time of the priest of Duklja, who always, when mentioning the crowning of a Dukljan ruler, notes that he was crowned in the presence of dignitaries, army, and Župans. The rule of the Serb supreme leader was hereditary. Both Constantin Porphyrogenitos and the priest of Duklja relate about this in the same way. The eldest son was the heir to the throne. In troubled times, this could be replaced with the principle of seniority, when a ruler's cousin could stake his claim to central power. According to Constantin Porphyrogenitos, up to his time, the Serb ruling family was closely related through kin with the Serb ruler under whom they settled the Balkan Peninsula. As the information about this reached him from Serbs themselves, or from a member of the Serb ruling family, this is probably true. Therefore, around 950, in Serbia it was clear that the supreme authority belongs to the ruler's eldest son. The main military unit seemed to be the stotina, or 100. This is derived from the priest of Duklja, who claimed that Satniks were under Župans and Dukes. Satniks, or Stotniks, represented local forces of a Župa. At the time of military danger, the supreme ruler asked Župans to gather their forces, which were then placed under the command of a duke. Just like in any other European country at the time, the ruler was the supreme military commander. Maintenance and weaponry were provided by Župans. The supreme ruler probably had some sort of a standing army, which was by him at all times and which was located where the court was located at the time. It is not known where was the seat of the Serbian ruler. Constantin Porphyrogenitos claims that there were 6 towns in the Christian Serbia: Međurečje, Lešnik, Destinik, Crnovrh, Dresnik, and Salines. In Bosnia, which was at the time still a part of Serbia, there were only 2 towns, Katera and Desnik. The exact location of these towns is still not known. It is also not known how they looked like. That Salines was probably the town at the location of the present-day Tuzla, the medieval Soli.